Hi, I'm Sarah Woodard. I'm a spiritual guide, Kabbalist, and founder of Wisdom Grove. And today I need to talk to you about something that's really been weighing on me. Recently, I submitted remarks to my local village council about winter holiday inclusion, and I want to share with you what I said because I think it matters for all of us. I'm going to talk about a concept I've coined called inclusion varnishing, what it is, why it's harmful, and how to recognize it in your own community, workplace, or organization. This is personal. This is vulnerable. And honestly, I'm a little scared to put this out there, but I think it's important. So let's talk about what real inclusion actually looks like and why happy holidays really is not enough. I moved to Downers Grove, Illinois earlier this year because my research showed it to be an exceptionally welcoming community. As a queer Jewish woman with a hidden disability, finding a place where I could be fully myself, all of who I am, that's not easy. And for the most part, Downers Grove has been that place. I found my soul home here. And then the winter holiday season arrived. And just like everywhere else, everywhere I looked, public property, village events, social media posts, it was all Christmas. Only Christmas. Main Street asking for handmade ornaments for the tree. Public decorations that exclusively celebrated one religious tradition. Events centered entirely around Christmas. And I felt erased again. Now, I knew this was coming. I've lived my whole life as the only Jewish kid in town, as the only queer person in certain spaces, as someone who's always been other in some way, shape, or form. And maybe I was naive, but I moved here thinking it would be different, that this community would actually reflect the diversity it claims to value. So I had a choice: stay silent and feel increasingly isolated in my soul home, or speak up and risk painting a target on my back. I chose to speak up, electronically, at least for now, because speaking in person right now felt too unsafe. But I spoke up, and I want to share with you what I said because I think this applies to so many situations beyond just holiday decorations. In my remarks to the village council, I introduced a term I've coined: inclusion varnishing. Inclusion varnishing is when organizations, communities, or other institutions make surface level gestures towards inclusion, gestures that look progressive, while changing absolutely nothing about actual representation or power structures. It's the difference between looking inclusive and actually being inclusive. So here's what this looks like in practice. Example one: the Happy Holidays trap. A town says Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. That sounds inclusive, right? And yet, when you look at the actual decorations, the events, and imagery, it's still 100% Christmas. There are no menorahs, no Kwanzaa kinaras, no Diwali dayas, no winter solstice symbols. And forgive me if I've mispronounced anything there. I've only seen some of those terms written, so I'm not sure on the pronunciation. In those cases, the language changed. Nothing else did. That's inclusion varnishing. It's a veneer of inclusion that protects the status quo while appearing progressive. Example two: the diversity photo. A company puts diverse faces in their marketing materials, different races, genders, and abilities all represented. And when you look at their leadership team, their hiring practices, their policies, nothing has actually changed. Nada. The people with the power are still the same demographic they've always been. That's inclusion varnishing. Surface level representation without structural change. Example three: the Pride Month rainbow. A corporation changes their logo to rainbow colors every June. They post about LGBTQ plus pride. They sell pride merchandise. And they donate to anti LGBTQ politicians. They don't offer health care coverage for trans employees. They don't create safe workplace policies. That's inclusion varnishing. Performative allyship that generates positive PR without requiring actual change or risk. In my remarks to the village council, I asked them to imagine something, and I want you to try this exercise too. Imagine that the situation was completely reversed. You're living your life in this place you call home. Every year around this time, menorahs start going up everywhere. The town has special events to light the first candle, and after all 8 nights, they stay glowing in almost obnoxious brightness for months. Every time you leave your house, go into a store, turn on the TV or radio, you're hit with the sights, sounds, and smells of Hanukkah, a holiday that's not yours. A bit of you dies inside each time this happens. And it's been like this your whole life, no matter where you've lived. And a few places try to be more inclusive by saying happy holidays, but none of it is your holiday's imagery or meaning. There's no Christmas trees, no Santa, no nativity scenes. This feels like an even bigger insult than completely ignoring your tradition would be, because now they're claiming to be inclusive while still erasing you. You'd give anything to see just one Christmas decoration, one acknowledgement that you exist. And when you've been brave enough to mention it publicly, you get hurtful, bullying responses at worst and dismissive shoulder shrugs at best. This is what it's like to be anything other than Christian during the winter holiday season in America. And here's the thing. I know most people don't mean to be exclusionary. Most people think happy holidays is inclusive. Intention doesn't raise impact. Inclusion varnishing hurts everyone, not just the people being excluded. It hurts those who are excluded because we feel seen and then immediately dismissed. It's actually more painful than being ignored entirely. It creates chronic stress and marginalization, and research shows this contributes to depression, anxiety, and even suicide and acts of violence, particularly among young people. It hurts those in the majority because it prevents genuine connection across differences. It creates a false sense that the problem is solved when it's really not. It perpetuates fragile monoculture communities that can't adapt or truly thrive. And it hurts communities because monocultures fail. This is biology. Ecosystems need diversity to be resilient. When we only celebrate one tradition, one perspective, one way of being, we become fragile. True strength comes from genuine diversity, not from performative inclusion. Anne Frank's story didn't begin in an attic. It began with exclusion, with being made to feel like she didn't belong, with a society that decided some lives mattered more than others. I'm not being dramatic when I say exclusion has consequences. So, what does real inclusion look like? Real inclusion means one, actual representation, not just happy holidays language, actual imagery, events, and resources allocated to multiple traditions. If you're going to have a Christmas tree on Main Street, you need a menorah too, and a Kwanzaa kinara, and solstice symbols, and acknowledgement of secular celebrations, and whatever else represents the true demographics of that community, that town. Equal representation, or don't claim to be inclusive, period. And two, structural change, not just surface gestures. It's not about adding one diverse face to your marketing. It's about examining your policies, your leadership, your resource allocation, your decision-making process. Who has power? Who gets heard? Who benefits from how things currently work? 3, listening to those being excluded. When someone says, I feel erased, I don't feel heard, I don't feel I belong, I don't feel represented, believe them. Don't get defensive. Don't explain why they shouldn't feel that way. Listen, adjust, change. 4, willingness to be uncomfortable. Real inclusion requires people who currently benefit from the status quo to give something up. Not everything, a little space, some resources, some centrality. That's uncomfortable, and it's very necessary. Here's why I'm sharing this with you. I submitted these remarks to my village council knowing I might face some backlash, and I'm posting this video knowing the same thing. And I coined the term inclusion varnishing because I think we need language for this phenomenon. We need to be able to name what's happening so we can address it. And I think this applies far beyond winter holiday decorations. Where do you see inclusion varnishing in your life? Is it your workplace that celebrates Pride Month but doesn't offer trans inclusive healthcare? Is it your religious community that says, all are welcome, but doesn't actually make space for LGBTQ plus members? Is it your town that posts about diversity but only centers one culture, one tradition, one way of being? Once you see inclusion varnishing, you can't unsee it. And once you can name it, you can demand better. Here's what you can do. 1, start noticing the inclusion varnishing as it's happening. 2, when you have the power to make decisions, whether that's at work, in your community, in other organizations, ask, are we just looking inclusive or are we being inclusive? 3, if you're part of a marginalized group experiencing this, know that you are not crazy. You are not being too sensitive. Inclusion varnishing is real and your feelings are valid. 4, if you're in the majority group that benefits from the current system, your job is to listen, believe, and be willing to share space and resources. I do this work, helping people navigate exclusion, religious trauma, and finding authentic spiritual connection because I believe, no, I know we can do better. My work at Wisdom Grove is about unity, about showing how different traditions, different perspectives, different ways of being can all be honored without erasing anyone. That's what the tree of life is. I live and breathe it uniquely from everyone else. That's what it teaches us, that diversity isn't a problem to solve. It's the strength of the system. Monocultures fail. Diversity thrives. If this resonates with you, if you want to learn more about my work around inclusion, spiritual growth, and finding connection without dogma, you can find me at groveofwisdom.com. And if you're working on making your community, workplace, or organization genuinely inclusive, not just inclusion varnished, I see you. Keep going. It matters. Thanks for watching, and thank you for caring about this.